And all the football players go, "Oh, you're too skinny, man. You'll never be like your dad." Well, hey, man, I never stopped. I remember buying my first pair of wrestling boots from B&A, Bill Ash and his dad, and my dad coming in, and I was wearing them around the house to break them in, and I had never trained one time. I was willing it. I was willing it into fruition, and so I'll never forget my dad walking in and going, "Well, whose boots are those?" And I said, "They're mine." And he said, "Well, why did you get wrestling boots?" And I said, "Because I'm going to wrestle." And he goes, "No, you're not, boy. You're not going to wrestle." I was working at a bank as a bookkeeper and going to college. Oh, wow. And he said, "No, you definitely are not going to wrestle. So you might can give those to somebody. Maybe they'll take them. Somebody's going to have to be initialed SA." And so literally it was probably a year after that before Tommy Rogers came into the territory. He came in as a single, came in just for 6 months, just to work the opening match or two. And he said, "Well, do you train?" I told him, "Yeah, I'm going to be a wrestler." And so at this stage, I'm sure everybody thought this guy's really full of shit. And he goes, "Well, you want to ride with me? We're here in Pensacola on Sunday. We can get over there at 5 p.m. whenever they put the ring up, and we can wrestle for an hour. And Mobile's an hour away. On Tuesdays, we could wrestle for an hour." And I went, "Yes, I would love to." And about 8 weeks or really 4 weeks, but about 8 times of being able to get into a ring, Tommy walks in the locker room and tells my dad, "Bob, I'll tell you, he's a natural. He's got a really good drop kick." Well, dude, I could not wait to get in the car with my dad on that ride, that hour drive back to Pensacola, to say, "Did you hear that, Dad? Tommy says I'm ready." I tell him, my dad just busts out laughing. He goes, "Boy, you've just gotten a ring 8 times. That's it." He said, "I've never worked out with you." He said, "Tommy said you had a good drop kick." He said, "Tommy's not in the main event, son. Tommy's in the opening match." He said, "You got to keep your feet on the ground here." And I said, "No, I'm ready. I'm ready." Well, finally, I think it was my mom that said, "Hey, if you don't give him one chance, he's not going to just go away. He's our son." And so by this time, Brad had been wrestling like 2 years, 2.5 years. And I mean, anywhere he was, I wanted to go and watch him and watch how he worked. And oh man, in my very, very first match, it was me and Brad, and we were wrestling Randy Rose and Dennis Condrey. No, take that back. I think Dennis was on the outside. It was Randy and Norvell Austin. And we're getting ready to walk out. First match ever. And I look at my dad and go, I'm nervous wreck. Needless to say, I said, "Dad, you got anything?" And he goes, "Yeah, just stand on the apron and watch your brother." And honestly, it was the best advice I've ever been given. That's exactly what I did. And he'd talk to me from the corner and say, "Hey, Scotty, why don't you just slide down him and get a little schoolboy right there?" He'd talk to me like we did at the house. Yeah. And so it made me relax so much, man. And all those dudes, they knew that I was peppering the shit out of them with stiff punches and Rip, I'm sure you remember. And they'd calm me down and say, "Hey, come on, relax, slow down."
So did your dad really not want you to get into wrestling, or was he just testing you, or he wants you to get an education, or no, he just want to see how bad you wanted it, or what
when I started, I was the oldest, so it was my choice to go to college. I wanted to go, and he was all about it. And then when he said, when I told him that I'd gotten a job at a bank, in the bookkeeping, I mean, literally nothing but numbers all day, and going to college in the morning and then shooting straight to that bank to work all day. He just said, "No, you're a money guy. Learn the money." I mean, look, like any wrestler tell you, "Hey kid, save your money." And that's what he said. Because I asked him later in life too, and he said, "No, I just thought you had a good head and you were going to college and you knew numbers and you were good at it." He said, "I kept waiting. You see, you started in there and you were in there 3 or 4 months, and I kept waiting for you to call and say, 'Well, they fired me.'" He said, "But they didn't. And you were there for a couple of years and you started working your way up." And and I knew what this involved. This involved injuries and not being at home and away from family and I heard what he was saying, but I was 22, man, when I started. You can't tell a 22-year-old kid you can't. You know what I mean? Because the 22-year-old kid just proved to you he can, just to stick it up your ass. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to do it, man. It was my life. Even to this day, like now I work with a little group that, they're getting bigger. They just got a little TV here in Mobile, but it's out of Mobile, Alabama, called Diamond Championship Wrestling. So even when I got, completely out of sight of everybody seeing what I was doing all the time with WWE or whether it been WCW, whatever, I'm right back in the middle of it.
Watch. I said, watch this next video that's coming up on your screen. Remember now, watch it.
That I can't get the shit closed.